Hi Vidhi, a very warm welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. We
Thank
have
you.
many eager moms to be and new moms who would like to hear from you your expertise on lactation, prenatal and postnatal care, and how
Hmm.
you would suggest nutrition for lactation since you also work with health transformation. So,
Yes.
without delay, I would ask you the first question, which is the most common question asked by most of our viewers. Does and how does nutrition impact lactation?
Great. So thank you for having me. And because I work in health transformation, the Ayurvedic way, and I also look into lactation, I'm able to kind of understand why
Mhm.
I think many times people say that there is no correlation. And in India, we want to believe that there is a complete correlation. So these are
Mhm.
two things that keep merging and keep conflicting in terms of our knowledge.
Yes.
I want to demystify that today. Now, the reason why Indians are obsessed with it is because our traditional knowledge says कि everything that you eat has an impact on your digestion and it has an
Mhm.
impact on the baby's digestion. And when it comes to Western nutrition, it says that just eat whatever you want and
Okay.
don't worry about this. Of course, that is to make the mom stress free from really nitpicking what she's eating.
Mhm.
However, if we look at the Indian context, what we will find is that every region is different, everyone's digestive ability is different, and we do use a lot of spices, masalas in our food, which is
Mhm.
not there easily outside India, especially in Europe and America. So it
Yes.
affects food very differently. That's number one. Number two
Mhm.
is every body is so different with its cultural history, its genotype, that there is no real way that we've come up with to clinically research the correlation. So if you can't have an empirical study which clinically researches the evidence and says that this is true, then you
Mhm.
can't really claim that it's true. So that is the
Mhm.
difficulty from the scientific point of view. We really can't prove this. So yes,
Mhm.
the state of mind of the mother who's had a
Mhm.
baby or is going to have a baby, what she puts in her body, her pre-digestive ability and post-surgery or birth digestive ability. Then the
Mhm.
painkiller she's on, and
Mhm.
what is the baby doing to her? Is the baby making her anxiety shoot off the roof? That is going to have an
Mhm.
impact on her digestive ability. So there are so many layers that yes, I would say that there is an impact, but is it measurable? Maybe not. So we keep trying to tweak it and get to the most easy, light, digestible diet with a concoction of different herbs, again based on genotype, region, culture, history of eating. So that's how we work on it, and that's how I would demystify this thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we see that the modern age mothers they would like to mix the traditional values brought down to them by the grandparents,
Yeah.
grandmothers over the years, and
Yeah.
along with the modern ways of thinking. So
Hmm.
they ask that how does nutrition impact lactation and how do microgreens help in maternity?
Um, so, there are many herbs. I'll give you one example. There are many herbs that are used that we've seen over time, and culture has evidenced it not only in India but even countries like South America, Central America. The
Mhm.
example is fenugreek. So, fenugreek is one of those seeds, herbs that has been seen to have a great impact on the mammary glands and helping and aiding lactation.
Mhm.
So anyone who's ever studied it will put fenugreek out there. Now, fenugreek is a seed which you can't have in excess every day. In
Mhm.
Ayurveda, there are hot and cold foods. So we see fenugreek as a food that makes the body warmer, hotter. So if I have 2-3 spoons of it every day, then I'm adding excessive amounts of heat to my body. So the
Mhm.
urban, modern, new age way to do it is to actually pick the fenugreek microgreens. The minute I have the fenugreek microgreens, the entire hot and cold theory changes because the microgreens are the smaller parts of the plant, which are fresher, the first leaves, and they have a higher nutritional value, which won't cause this damaging heating effect. I can easily have 2 or 3 spoons every day in my food. I can
Mhm.
safely blanch it and have it. And it is also giving me the desired impact of increasing the lactation. So I think it's a great way of blending that traditional knowledge and incorporating new age urban solutions. And since you grow it, I think you'll be able to shed light on the fact of, what microgreens can really do, why they are a new age solution. In fact, I'd love for you to elaborate on the science of what microgreens are.
And so when we are growing microgreens, The vegetable seeds, when the first two leaves or the cotyledons come out, at
Yeah.
this stage it's called a microgreen,
Yeah.
and it's up to 40 times more nutritious than the bigger vegetable. And
Absolutely.
in any diet, a balanced diet, micronutrients are very, very important.
Yes.
So for all those, either you start popping a pill or you continue using your microgreens, which are very rich in vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that immunity would build up in a single day. And for
Absolutely.
lactation also, I feel you need to prepare your body over your pregnancy and
Yeah.
even after the baby is born, because
Yeah.
you yourself have to look at yourself first. That's how
Yes.
I see that. And then airlines, when they say that put on your oxygen mask first, I say look after yourself first, and then the
Yes.
baby will automatically be a healthy
Yes.
baby.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
in fact, kale microgreens are also very rich in folic acid, folates,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
help during the term of pregnancy. So,
So it's
so
great because the Bengalis in Kolkata, they have this rich
Mhm,
regional knowledge of having kulekhara, and kulekhara is an excellent iron giver for the body. And many
mhm,
times, some North Indians who live here don't have this taste of kulekhara. They ask me what is kulekhara, and
mhm,
kale is a great urban bridge for that because it's a very similar sort of plant. And if we can
mhm,
actually get the microgreens, then it's not like someone has to have a whole bowl to get more iron in the body, and you can
mhm,
actually start very safely having 3 or 4 teaspoons sprinkled on food.
mhm,
Along with this comes the question of raw, because we don't encourage prenatal mothers and postnatal mothers to have a whole lot of raw. That's a big
mhm,
question because sometimes there is this danger of salmonella and E. coli transferring through raw. The
mhm,
safest way there is to actually blanch, which is putting that
mhm,
absolutely hot boiled water and then
mhm,
putting some ice cubes and blanching it for freshness, crunchiness, while
mhm.
taking care of any kind of infection scare. So I think
Okay.
kale is a great way to actually bridge that gap of good iron in the
Mhm,
body and having the microgreens, getting the goodness of the kulekhara also. But the kale
mhm.
is, I think everyone's clued on to kale. So that's a great one.
Yes, and also because microgreens are so easy to use, I feel all new mothers are really perplexed with so many things happening
Yeah.
around them. So all you need to do is just wash it and blanch it in their case, and just sprinkle it on any of your daily meal so that
Yeah.
it takes care of a large part of your daily nutrition
Yes.
needs. So also one more thing I would like to add, that since microgreens have a high water content, it helps to toss off the baby fat which you put on. So which is
Absolutely.
obviously very important at this stage. And if one has had a C-section, then you have heavy dose of antibiotics
Yeah.
prescribed. So the toxins are building up in your body, which is
Yeah.
helped by microgreens to be flushed out also.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think because we're talking about mothers and nutrition today, it's
Mhm.
important to point out what are the different outlooks. What are we hoping to achieve when we focus on nutrition? It's not just
Mhm.
about feeding the baby. It's not just
Mhm.
about eating right. It's about a few things in series. Number one
Yeah.
is about the mother's mental health. Is the food invigorating the hormones enough? Is it
Mhm.
fulfilling her taste buds enough? The second is, like you said, weight management and long term health. So it should add strength, add protein, but at
Mhm.
the same time, not compromise anything on the lactation and help
Mhm.
with the losing weight over time. And then
Yeah.
finally, I think the skin and hair really gets affected. So, like you beautifully mentioned, that microgreens have so much collagen in them. It
Yeah.
really keeps the skin supple. We don't need to go into cosmetology or pill popping for supplementation. It's all coming out of our kitchen and beautifully being provided. We can actually grow these things also easily at
Mhm.
home, or there are wonderful farmers like you who can help us. So, I think it's a whole series of things that we're hoping to achieve when we do holistic nutrition. So, just to kind of point out, what does it mean when I say holistic nutrition? To look into all these aspects: hair, skin, lactation, long-term weight management. We're basically looking at 4 or 5 categories of food, and
Mhm.
I think the water content in food is number one, and number two is fat. So, for water
Mhm.
content, fruits and microgreens are the safest on a daily basis because it
Mhm.
keeps the body supple and the skin. And number two is the fat. Now, people here get a very, very confused. So, I want to demystify this because there's a huge culture of eating ghee in our country, ghee, coconut oil, mustard oil. And fats are actually excellent. In fact, without the fats, most mothers suffer from digestion issues, acidity issues, wind issues. But the problem is that when we think fat, we think fried parathas, we think laddu, we think halwa. And that's where the problem lies. So, ghee itself changes the way it's binding in your body and digesting in your body just by a simple fact of putting it on your roti versus
Mhm.
frying the paratha. And that drastically changes what's happening with that fat. So, I would encourage everyone to look at fat as nuts and ghee, but in its pure form, in its kacha form, rather than, roasting, toasting, frying. These are the two most important ones. And then we come to our nuts and seeds, we come to our legume group, our proteins from there as vegetarians, and then the entire gamut of vegetables, all the different colors of vegetables. So I think this is very, very important to keep this series in mind. And then
Mhm.
there is a huge trend now of going gluten free and lactose free. So for
And
people who are
vegan
having
food.
this, yeah, so
Vegan food.
yes, absolutely. So veganism, gluten-free, lactose-free. Here, I think millets play a really great role as a new age, but yet traditional form of
Yes.
food. And coupled with that, again, the microgreens play a really, really important role because we do then need supplements. And if we don't want supplements, how do we reach out to nature and our kitchen? And that's where we start incorporating this again. And then finally, it's the Indian spices and herbs that bring flavor, bring our hormones to secrete correctly due to taste in our food. So, this is really the concoction of food that I think every mother should look at to achieve all the things we've mentioned: the hair, the skin, the complexion, the lactation, as well as the weight management.
Another question asked by Neha. She says that she has been lactating for a year now and she's still continuing. So she says her weight is back to normal, but her baby is a slightly underweight. So
Yeah.
should she eat more in order to help her baby? And which is a correct age to wean the baby off lactation?
Okay. So, with birth weight and babies, we always measure the weight based on when the baby is born and what the birth weight was. So, if it's tripled the birth weight at 1 year, I think she's fine. If it
Mhm.
hasn't, she actually has to look at fats in the baby's food. So, the healthy fats, like we mentioned, are the natural oils, things like avocados, things like nuts. After 1 year, we can start nuts, and a lot of natural shud ghee in the food if the child has not been diagnosed with any lactose intolerance. So the
Okay.
baby's food now needs the fat because a 1 year old child may be feeding anywhere between 2 to 3 or 4 times in a day. And
Mhm.
I don't think that's significant enough for the mother to really start eating a whole lot more of fatty foods.
Mhm.
Whatever she's transferring, the body is assimilating and giving it to the baby. So it's more about just eating healthy for the mother and also now introducing a whole lot of different fats and vegetables and microgreens in the child's diet. Now, when we do that, what we also have to look at is the child accepting bigger meals or smaller meals? Because this is the key to really planning the meal. Some babies eat small meals, so we have to incorporate more fats in the small portions. So
Mhm.
that's the way to approach the baby. And WHO recommends feeding babies for 2 years. So that is the standard. Now, when I say 2 years, it can be one feed up till 2 years, two feeds up till 2 years, whatever the mother chooses. And even
Mhm.
beyond that, I think I've helped many, many mothers who've been distressed with a lot of family and societal sort of judgment calls on this, on why are you feeding a baby so long. So, two is a comfortable world declared age for feeding. And beyond two is where I think in rural areas people do it very comfortably. In urban
Mhm.
areas we feel judged. But if you can do it systematically without guilt and with the help and support of family or lactation consultants, it's totally doable till 3, 4, whatever age you feel comfortable. So there is no particular age, but 6 months is exclusive feeding, and then we start weaning. Yeah.
Question asked is that how does microgreen or can microgreen help in curing or keeping away cough, cold, and fever for the infants?
Yeah. So for an infant above the age of 6 months, we can slowly start blanching and giving this in the food itself. And if the child absolutely doesn't chew, we would puree it with the food a little bit. If the child can take a little bit, then we will, sprinkle a little bit on top. Now, what happens is this kind of works like how we know, tulsi and amla work. So in the
Mhm.
same way, it's a fresh way of getting, different vitamins, including vitamin C. And I think you'll be able to shed a little light on the three or four different kinds that are available that can give us this vitamin C along with a whole lot of water in the microgreens, which is really the key to immunity. More water in the body.
Yes, in fact, all microgreens are very rich in water content and they are also very rich in vitamin C. And sunflower microgreens are rich in zinc, which are especially good for these times when we are in these COVID pandemic times and the immunity levels need to be bigger for all of us. So that is a very easy way to eat your microgreens and build up your immunity gradually and slowly. And it is something which we should continue looking at. Because of the pandemic, actually the word immunity is suddenly come to everybody's
Yes.
mouth. But it is something which we will continually, I feel.
Yes, yes, I know. And since people are looking at doing so much extra on the
Mhm.
immunity, there's all these kadhas that everyone's having. And I would say that fresher is better where we know that, there's a balance and we're not putting in very, very strong herbs. So I think
Mhm.
fresher foods, more alive foods are a better option for sure.
Totally, microgreens are really alive, and
Yeah,
also because they have such a short growing period, we do not need to add any extra fertilizers or pesticides. So they're absolutely safe to eat raw otherwise.
yeah,
And also for children, I would say that instead of juicing it, if you yourself is eating a microgreen and the child is eating along with you, the child will always pick up whatever the parent is eating. So
absolutely.
I would suggest not juicing if the child can eat it normally, like we
Absolutely.
do.
Like we always encourage monkeys see and monkeys do. So they always
Yes,
imitate the mom. And
yes.
definitely, I have 7, 8 month old babies who are even eating their roti in the dal as pieces
Mhm.
and they're able to take normal dal chawal naturally. So those babies will have the coriander chopped in the food just like microgreens. And then
Yes.
there are babies who are choking at even the slightest things. Of course, there are things, deeper things going on there in terms of chewing and digestion. And for only those babies would juicing be the solution. For every other baby, we would use microgreens like we use coriander in our food. So for
Yes.
sure, that's the preferable way to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was really nice having you here with us, Vidhi. And I'm sure we'll have now Bonnie babies thanks to you and happy mothers also. So for our viewers, we will be there with you again next week on
Yeah.
3rd of September in conversation with Harsha Banthia, who's a yoga expert and who would guide you on prenatal and postnatal fitness. She would be talking about yoga during your pregnancy and after your pregnancy too. So see
Great.
you again. Thank you so much, Vidhi. Bye
Thank you for
bye.
having me. Lovely. Pleasure being here. Thanks.
Bye.